Hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here today, and for me to give back to other people and to be able to share some advice and how to find inspiration and also motivation for yourself, because no one else can do it except you. Right? It's very important to start working with yourself before you can achieve anything in life. And to give you a little bit of background about myself, I want to take you back 19 years. I'm originally from Sweden, and I had my first job as a telemarketing officer. So my job was to call 200 to 300 phone calls every day in a small little room, and that was my life, right? And the problem I had with that is because I worked from 12 o'clock in the day till 9 o'clock in the evening. So I became completely alone, and I did this for almost 2 years. And I asked myself, if this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, am I going to feel this way? Am I actually happy doing this, or is it something else I want? And I was in the same situation as many people in the world are. They don't know really what they want to do in life. They don't have any desires, or they think that they're not good enough to do it. And that's the three things that is the most important with any human being on this planet. If you don't know what you want, you're never going to get anything. And to follow other people's dreams is also something that you should work on, because many people go to school or have jobs because that's what their parents wants them to do, or that's what someone else wants to do. But is that really what you want to do? Is that what something makes you happy? And the question that is sometimes hard to understand and hard to find, because I was in the same situation, I didn't know anything. And you're lucky, because I didn't have any education. I dropped out of school when I was 14 years old. So one thing led to another. A tragic thing happened when I was about 18 years old. One of my grandfather, he passed away. So I got to inherit about $2,000, and that was split up between me, my sister, my brother. So I thought, well, what do? I have $2,000 here. And I knew that I wanted to run away. I wanted to be in another country. I wanted to start something else. And all I knew is that I wanted to be in a tropical paradise. When I got this money, my father told me, with this money, you're going to save it in a bank account. You're going to either spend it on education, spend it on someone, and you need to find a job here in Sweden, right? So when I bought this ticket, I said, well, I'm going to have a big fight with my father tonight, because I just spent the money that I inherited from my grandfather. When I went ticket to Thailand, I didn't know anything about this country. So that day was hard. I called my mother, father, and said, I have something to tell you. I'm going overseas. I'm starting a new life. And of course, my father got very angry, and he started to shout, and I should be here. I should get my job and education. And he wanted for me to be a lawyer or a pilot. That was his dream. Yeah? But I wanted something else. My mother, that time, she looked at me and she said, you know what, follow your dreams, do what you want. If anything goes bad, you can always come back to me. So she's the only person in my life that actually believed in me. Yeah? I came to Thailand, almost reaching 19 years old. So that was my first job in Thailand, and that was about 3,000 to 5,000 baht a month. But I was happy. I had a job. I was on a tropical paradise. I had my beaches, I had my coconut trees, I had all this environment, right? But something happened. I became lazy, and I started to find out that party is a lot fun as well. So instead of actually pursuing my dreams, I started to get these little funds that I had to spend it on outdoor activities and parties and stuff like that. I ended up not paying my rent for 4 months. So my first thing was, what should I do now? They said, well, we expect you to be out in 10 minutes with all your bags and all your belongings, and we don't care where you're going, but you need to get out of this apartment, right? And so I go down to the beach, and at least I can sit there and I can find out what I'm going to do now. And one day become 9. So actually I slept on the beach for 9 days with my 2 bags. I remember I used my bags as pillows. At that time, I thought that that was the worst days of my life. But standing here today, I believe that that moment was actually the best days of my life, because I found out a lot of things about myself and what you're actually possible of doing in your life. Yeah? After 4 or 5 days, I thought, well, I can call my friend. Maybe he can help me with some money. Can you please help me, send me something so I can at least rent a room again? And what he said, sorry, Andress, I don't have anything for you, but at least I can send you a book. I'm asking you for money, and you want to send me a book. What am I going to do with a book, right? But it changed my life. I said, well, instead of sitting here on the beach and just feeling sorry for myself, and I was blaming everyone, I was blaming the world, I was blaming my parents. Everything was wrong, but it was not wrong with me. Everything else was wrong, right? And that's the first people do. They always look at the outside instead of looking at yourself. Okay, and the first book that I ever got, it's a very simple book to read. It's about mindset, how to control your thoughts, how to control your emotions and make it into reality, right? I got this book and I started to read it on the beach, and I was like, I didn't believe any of that at all in the beginning. I was like, the book is about how you can sit and create things with your mind and then it becomes reality outside. And for me, it was just, that doesn't work. I'm gonna sit here and imagine something and then it's gonna come. So I was even more angry. But I didn't have a choice. Instead of sitting on a beach and just blaming everyone, at least I had something to read. One thing I understood early on, when you read a book like that, like The Secret, it tells you that nothing can ever be created if you don't create it in your mind at first. And start imagining all the things that you want to do, be, or have. It's very important, right? Most people don't know that, but it's very important to ask that. What makes me happy? What do I love doing, right? And when you find those things, you should pursue them. Because there is no point in doing something if you don't like it. What's the point, right? And I was on that beach reading that book under my coconut palm tree, the same location that I ever had. And what I want you to understand is the mind is one of the most important things in the universe. If you learn how to control it, you can learn how to control your destiny and your future. And then I said, well, this must work. So I said, okay, I'll try another thing. I will try to visualize, imagine, and believe that I'm going to get a better job than giving out brochures on a beach walk and earning 3,000 to 5,000 baht a month. And I started to ask for jobs from different organizations, different hotels, anything I can get hold of. And I finally got a job 1.5 weeks later, and that was giving brochures for a real estate agency. And it was almost the same job. I was standing outside an office. It was sunny every day. I was sweating, it was hot. But my job was to get people inside the real estate office and to get a real estate presentation by the sales agent. And if they bought, I would get a small commission. That was my job, right? I did that for another 6 months. And some people said I was lucky. I don't believe it was, because I was still doing the things. I was visualizing my goals. I was telling myself what I want to be, do, or have. And I started to write. It's very important to write because many things is in your head. But when you start writing things down, they become more clear. And that's very powerful, because if you see that every day, you're actually programming your subconscious mind into something being a reality. The subconscious mind is, it's a thing that regulates everything. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about how your heart beats, or you don't have to think about daily habits and routines. They're just there because your subconscious mind had made them into something to work with, right? One of the days, I was standing outside that real estate office and giving out the brochures, and one English guy came up and said, I want to buy a property, and I want this and this budget and stuff like that. I went into the office and said, I have a client here. He wants to buy a property from us. And my salesman at that time, he said, sorry, we don't have any sales agents available. And this guy was going home next day. So I thought, well, we're going to lose this client, yeah? So I took a decision. I had one of these old gear motorbikes, pretty rusty, right? So I said, well, I can take you if you want on my motorbike and show you properties. And he was fine. He said, yeah, well, let's go and do that. So I spent 2.5 hours with that guy. I didn't have any sales experience. I didn't know how to sell properties, whatever. But he ended up buying the same day on a motorbike with me, right? So that organization said, well, maybe you can sell. So I got promoted to a sales executive. And after that, it started to go pretty quick. I became a sales manager. After that, sales manager, I actually became a sales director for that organization. That took about 2.5 years. And after that, I still needed to have my own thing. And 2.5 years later, I opened my first company. It was called Phuket Condos and Homes. We're a brokerage agency. We were selling houses, condominiums, and all that around the island, yeah. It went very well the first 1.5 years, and then my results started to dip down. And I started to do the same things again. I started to sit in my garden. I started to visualize my outcomes. I started to visualize what I want to do in life, be, do, or have. And my results turned out pretty quick again. So being from bankrupt, I started one company, and I understood finally that this really, really works. And I will never, ever put myself in this situation again. And I will never stop writing my goals. I will never stop believing in what I can do. 14 years have passed. I was awarded last year as one of the best property developers in Thailand, actually. For the moment, I'm building 1,600 properties across Thailand, right? And it's everything from condominiums, apartments, hotels, resort, commercial buildings. This is one of the developments that I've been doing. Any questions, please ask me.
What happened to you and Miss Nat as well is not the same thing that our students is in the situation. Basically, they're all millennial. Basically, they all come from very good family, very good support system at home, or not, but at least monetary, they're fine. How do we get them to realize that there's more things in life than money?
That is an awesome question. I like that. Thank you. Most people think that as soon as I have all this money in the world, I'm going to be happy. But you know how many people I meet every week? I have high network clients, investors that buy my property. And when I ask them about their life, they have all the money in the world, but they're actually very depressed. It's very, very true. And most people don't understand that life is a balance. It's not just how much money you have in the bank. It's not how many cars you have or what you own or how many properties or whatever. That's just a little bit of part of life. But the whole, I call it the wheel of life. If you don't have balance in relationships, if you don't have balance in health, if you don't have balance in family and stuff like that, you're still not going to be happy, right? You need a whole balance of that. That's very important to do. Any other questions?
One more, sorry. How did you manage your time between work and life in general, whilst you were going up in your career path? Let's say like the busiest time of your life. How did you manage all the gym, the friends, the life, and work?
Good question. In the start, I didn't. I was working 12 to 14 hours a day, and when I finished my job, I still came home and I still worked on my computers, and I wrote things down. So I was working almost 15 to 16 hours a day. And one thing you need to know: any success, any achievement, it's hard work. It's hard work. Most people think that I can be an overnight sensation, but it doesn't work like that. But then people are going to say, well, I'm not going to do that for 10 years because I'm not going to wait. But that's why I'm telling you, the first thing is to find something you love doing. Because if you do that, it doesn't matter how much you work, because it doesn't feel like work. You're feeling like you're doing something that you feel good to do, right? So in the beginning, no, I didn't manage the time. But now that I have this, I have 164 employees. 19 companies, and I put excellent managers on every company, every organization. So they're doing a lot of my job. I'm just making sure they're doing the right things, right? Now I have more time to do all these things that I want to do, but I had to work hard to get it, right?
What was your biggest failure and what did you learn about?
Excellent question. My biggest failure was my first company I started, because it took 2 years. I went bankrupt. As soon as I started to get money, I started to get income to the company, I started to investing it in the wrong things. I rented a big 3-story office in a location where no people were walking by, right? So I started to invest my funds in the wrong things, and instead I was focusing, let's rent a big office so I can put a lot of employees there, I can put a lot of computers, I can make myself look good. But I forgot that the most important thing in any business startup is your clients. If you don't have clients, you don't have sales. If you don't have sales, you don't have income. If you don't have income, you don't have nothing, right? So that's one of my biggest lessons, that any startup you do, make sure that you invest it in marketing and getting the clients. That's where everything is get built first. So failures are great. I love them. Anyway, I hope to see you if you have any time in December when we're back in Bangkok with all these celebrities and success coaches. You're welcome. It's on a weekend, so hopefully you don't have school then. And thanks for having me here. I hope a few of my words can help you at least to find the purpose, your motivation, and then your planning and mindset, right? But like I said, anything in life, to become good at it, we have to train. You mean, look at the best athletes in the world. They didn't become the best athletes in the world because they just woke up and were the best. They trained for 10, 15 years all their life to become who they are today. It's the same in business. It's the same in anything you want. You have to train hard and you have to become good at it. And you have to give it the time. And remember what I said, don't worry about the time it will take to reach anything. That time will pass anyway. So, all right? Thank you everyone for having me here. Yes? It's great. I love to do this kind of thing. It gets me inspired, it gets me motivated, and I want to do it more and more, because if I can help as much people as possible, to change their life or become better or become more successful, I myself am going to be much happier to be able to do that.